I am much more interested in working with the people who come and say, is this it? Isn't there more in life? People have not committed suicide. They decided to live. They decided to work on their marriage. And what's possible due to that? Suddenly having a fruitful marriage, suddenly having a relationship with your kids, suddenly having a life that's fulfilled, suddenly paying attention to you. Because to be honest, if somebody suddenly makes 20 or 50K more, it's not of my interest.
It said, if your personal life is a mess, you'll never scale, you'll never grow, you'll never keep your money. So that's what you're doing.
And that's why I said, I work with people who say, you know what, Markus, this simply can't be it. There must be more.
Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Ramona. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text optimize to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stevr1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and let's just jump right into our gratitude. So I've started in 2026, the idea of sharing gratitude with not just me, not just my guest, but with you. Let's start off with some positivity because we'll get much more from my guest today, but let's start the show off with a bang. By being yourself, you put something wonderful into the world that was not there before. Just be yourself. Hard to do sometimes. Life, world, and we're going to talk all about that. Noise, we'll talk about that, can get in the way. But you know what? You're pretty amazing. Just be yourself because that's the way God made you. With that being said, let's bring our guest on today. Markus, welcome back for part 2.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. Great pleasure.
I want to start with the word Stillness Council. Now, I know the City Council. I know Board of Directors Council. What is the Stillness Council?
You know, the Stillness Council all started when I asked the question, why did I come to the US? And, you know, I came here in October 2024 and everything was a little bit different than today. Everything crazy minus the war, pretty much. And quite a few people ask me, why did you actually come to the US? Why did you leave Switzerland? And I said, that's a fair enough question worth pondering. And when I went into that process, I did not understand that I was embarking on a 14-month journey where I realized it is all about stillness. And Stillness Council is basically a collective where people who want to go back to stillness or learn about stillness, go into coherence, basically start removing all that's distorted right now, all that disturbs them right now and prevents them from whatever success they want, where they meet. So this is how and why I call it a council. Because, you know, council has something special. So when I ask you, what is your understanding of a council in general?
Group of people.
Exactly. And I'm an advisor. So it's so fitting to have a council. And as you know me, Steve, for me, I love working one-to-one with people. But even more, I love working one-to-one with people in groups. And we will definitely talk more about that.
Yeah,
But
groups
that's
are
what it comes
powerful.
down to. It's literally, it's something elevated. I needed to elevate it from coaching because, to be honest, I'm so fed up with being put into a box where everyone believes they know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why I use counsel. So it takes one to know one in terms of realizing, Stillness Council, that could actually be something special for me. So yeah, that's pretty much.
And groups are good too, because you can impact more than one person. One-on-ones are great. Your one-on-one's great because it's a focused, niched impact that you're making, but having a council, mastermind comes to my head when you say council, and those are all great. It's a group get together. Tony Robbins has a council of 5 billionaires. I listened to a video. He worked with them and they worked together and solved problems. Now, the difference comes in word, or I can't think of the word, but there's stillness and there's noise. Now, the noise, you mentioned the war, I did too. A lot of noise going on March 9th, 2026 right now as we're recording this. How does stillness overtake noise?
You see, it does not.
Okay.
And I believe that is the key, Steve. So let me take you on a journey and the listener. Right now, when someone is out there, be it a board member, be it an executive, being it a manager, whatever you want to call it, right? An entrepreneur. They are in constant noise. So what I found out when I did a research, especially with my past clients, what was it really they took from working with me? You know what the answer was? So surprising. They said, Markus, when we met with you, it was like we are walking into a sacred space. Before we even met you, especially when they started working with me, it was like the noise is being kept outside. And it is almost like a dome comes over us and it's only us. And suddenly I was able to hear myself. Sometimes for the first time in life, think about that.
Powerful. You said something, though, from a business standpoint, audience. I want to point this out. You went back to your clients. We don't do that as entrepreneurs, business owners. We don't go back and go, can I ask you a question? Can I learn? Your best tool is your customer, your client, patient, whatever industry. So I want to point that out. It's a powerful message you put out there because look what you learned. Well, what is noise? So audience listening goes, noise is that loud car out there or that baby crying. What truly is noise?
I think we have to look first at what is stillness, and then it's very clear what noise is. When I speak of stillness, Steve, quite a few people say, that's meditation. I said, tell me more about meditation. And then they go into a solemn tone and, you could think like, whoa, that's sacred. No, stillness is the opposite. Stillness is coherent action minus that noise. So what this means is most of the times people do not even understand that 97% or 96, depends on the school, our thoughts are negative. So pay attention to that. Most of our thoughts are negative. And the even more shocking part, Steve, is that those thoughts are not even based on our foundation. That's noise. So we are living in challenging times. We are basing our reactions and decisions based on other people's concepts, which the world has managed for us to believe it's my own. So I am becoming proud of being distorted because, everyone is distorted today. Everyone lives in fear, more or less. Not many people have hope. Not many people are capable of saying, you know what? Let's just focus right now on this current moment. And the noise, I believe, comes from that. Too many people live in the past. They are angry, disappointed, whatever about the past. Or live in the future, where quite often fear comes into it, insecurity comes into it. Instead of saying, you know what, the only thing I have control over, and you know how much people love control, right? The only thing I have control over is the present moment. And that's where stillness comes into play. So the coherence is literally when your mind and your heart go into coherence. That opens the channel to something, some people call it soul. Some people call it essence. Some people might even call it God. You know, if you want to delegate who you are and call it God, and call it Buddha, whatever. But in the end, it's exactly that journey to that essence which creates stillness. So when someone does and do yoga, I love yoga, I do yoga as well. I meditate, I love meditation. But stillness is not having to go to India into an ashram for 2 or 3 months, come back, because let's be honest, how long does it last? It's the same like a race in salary. Probably a couple of weeks, maybe months, maybe 2, and you're back. No, I believe what actually happened is in our childhood, Steve, maybe at the age of 3, 6, 7, I just spoke to a psychologist recently, and he confirmed that what we believed who we are, our values, our executive functions like courage, creativity, curiosity, there are quite a few C's, by the way. They were replaced by society telling us, Steve, but in order to make it and to become a good member of society, you have to put aside the nonsense, because it's nonsensical for a system like the world, and you have to start adapting. So we began to adapt. So as soon as you say goodbye to your own wisdom and your own beliefs and your own knowledge, you begin to implement noise. So it's not that we live in a noisy world, we have actually adapted the noise inside, which I believe is way worse than having to go on a building site where there is noise. Does that make my point clear?
Yeah, self-awareness is what I'm feeling. Being aware of that stillness. So this is great. People are listening going, I'm listening going, you proved the expert in stillness. What's my first step to lean more towards stillness?
What's so interesting, if I ponder this question for a moment, what it comes down to is most people who seek my advice come with 2 questions. One of them comes with, is this it? That's the one who can't break through the glass ceiling and knows there must be more, right? And the other one is there more? Is there more are the ones who literally have reached the pinnacle in the world, be it business, financial, family, whatever. So it's the guy who sold his company, $500 million on the bank account, and is as unhappy and as unfulfilled as could be. Because that's when all the needs are fulfilled, the 5 levels of Maslow. And then that person realizes, gosh, fulfilling all my needs can't be it. So it's basically only what's going on outside is the need thing. But then it suddenly comes down to the essence. And that's when that journey begins in the end. So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's again, taking action. It's not hard to do. The hard part is just to do it. Nike was it just do it, as Nike says. Great fine. It's made millions and probably billions. So an entrepreneur that's listening, when they work with you, what's that journey look like?
So what I literally can say is it all starts with a conversation. Like it literally, most happens through conversations. That's what's so flabbergasting to people I work with. They say, don't you have methodologies? Don't you have concepts? Don't you have workbooks? I don't. So it always starts with a conversation. And sometimes leaders decide they want ongoing access to that kind of thinking and clarity. So then it becomes an advisory relationship. That's pretty much what it is. Because, I often describe my work as being a catalyst for legacy and influence. Because the decisions leaders make ripple far beyond the moment.
Questions are a big part of this. I talk about it all the time with entrepreneurs. If you're selling anything, which you're all listening, you're selling in your life and in your business, you're selling stillness and sales probably kind of go hand in hand. Trying to find stillness because it's every day of your life. So are sales. Selling your wife, selling your kids, selling your client, on and on. When it comes to sales and asking questions, is that where you start? And let's jump to sales. I want to get sales out of it. That's where you start, by asking questions to learn about your client?
Actually, no. And this might be very surprising. People who know me well, they understand what they actually pay is access to what my previous clients described as the sacred space. And imagine this. I believe I can safely say that 30% opportunity costs are taken into consideration if you live in that noise. If you don't find that space in you where you can clearly think, right? So what it basically comes down to is a person meets with me. That dome is being created automatically. And that person has access to clarity. And I really believe action without clarity, we see where it leads, right? Clarity without action, we know as well, that's philosophical. But taking actions before you have clarity, I believe, is absolutely detrimental, especially in business. It's just my experience of 20 years. So what happens is my clients meet with me, and fortunately, it's not just that I can provide that safe space where they hear themselves for the first time. And someone who doesn't know what it means to know that their decisions actually are consequential, they might think, what is this guy talking about? What is this guy talking about? These guys are paying money for that? Yeah, they are paying very well money because they understand that clarity not only saves it costs, but the opportunity costs. If you look back in your business, how much money did you leave on the table simply because you had no clarity? And if you had a sparring partner, like what we're talking about right now, somebody who is here, who holds the space so you can think, somebody who is here, who holds the space so you can get to know yourself in a safe environment, somebody who, in addition, is more than 20 years of a veteran as a reformed business consultant and executive coach. So you see, I combine these two worlds. It's providing the safe space and the foundation to work on, in addition to more than 20 years of expertise or specialty, whatever you want to call it. But that's exactly what it comes down to. Basically, people come to me because they realize there is a safe space, the noise stays outside, and if someone has never experienced it, it's almost impossible to fathom because it sounds too good to be true, Steve.
Yeah. Clarity is a game changer because people are guessing in business. Some do research. Now we have AI, all ChatGPT and all those different things. They're good tools. But, without clarity, you're right. It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall. If it sticks, great. If not, I'll throw more spaghetti. But how many dollars are going through? How much time are you putting in? You can shorten that time 50%. You can cut your revenue or your expenses 50%. That's where I think you come in too. And that's where people need to understand, because ROI is the big thing here. Yeah, I'm going to work with you, Markus, but really, what's my benefit? What's my ROI?
That's exactly it.
and it's powerful. So I want to dive into, tell us the story of a client you work with. Don't have to say numbers, but where you've had them self-aware of stillness and how stillness can be a benefit to them.
There are literally countless of those stories.
I'm sure.
And interestingly enough, I've never really focused on making someone rich, because there are more than enough people who can do that. I am much more interested in working with the people who come and say, is this it? Isn't there more in life? So imagine, what kind of an example shall I give you? In terms of monetary, I would literally have to do a research, how much they saved, for example, or what they gained in the end. Because this is usually where my research or my follow-up stops. Because I provide the actual foundation for the actual work. And it's interesting, I probably have not even paid enough attention to those results yet, Steve.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, you're focusing on their mindset, their mental upgrade. That's probably the wrong word, but they're better when they leave you. When you're better there in that capacity, money will come. Business will
That's
come.
an interesting aspect. So let me answer the question differently. People have not committed suicide. They decided to live. People have not left their families. They decided to work on their marriages. People have not gone bankrupt because they have looked at what kind of people they hired. People have not, I think it's literally what they have not is the result of our work. And what's possible due to that, suddenly having a fruitful marriage, suddenly having a relationship with your kids, suddenly having a life that's fulfilled, suddenly paying attention to your own body. I mean, those are things we don't talk about enough. Because to be honest, if somebody suddenly makes 20 or 50K more, it's not of my interest. I could have stayed a business consultant before.
Yeah, but it leads to all that, which you just don't focus on. You know, when Joe Smith walks away, he's fixed his marriage. You've done that, because I've talked to very successful millionaires and billionaires that said, if your personal life is a mess, you'll never scale, you'll never grow, you'll never keep your money. So that's what you're doing. You're the before the growth. You're the
Absolutely.
which is powerful, and that's worth an audience. If you made an extra $100,000 a year after working with Markus, he helped you with something that those different things that you had mentioned that you helped with. Wouldn't you sign up? I would be all over that, because it can't always be about money. And that's what I love about you and your heart with all this. You know, something good's going to happen.
That's why I was surprised when you asked me that question and I had no answer. Because I suddenly realized, gosh, I've never paid attention to how much more money my clients make. Because it's not what I'm about. That's when you can go to a business consultant or to an executive coach.
Yeah.
You know, let me actually add something to that. The reason why I'm a reformed business consultant and executive coach is the following. When I worked with clients in corporate, they had a bucket. That bucket had 10 holes. They called me because all the liquid was sickering into the ground, right? Through the holes. So a business consultant or executive coach is hired, Steve, to patch up 3 or 4 of those holes. By the way, when we patch up 4 holes, we're already the heroes. I knew there are at least 4 or 5 more holes that are not patched. So it was basically a fallacy to believe we were successful. And that's when I said, okay, so what is the ground which we can put underneath that bucket so that those holes don't even get punched into it anymore? Do you see the difference?
It's huge.
Before, I had to be focused on ROI cash-wise.
Yep.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Makes you unique and different, because you're right. Yeah, not wrong what they do. I know you'll agree with me, Mark. It's not wrong what you've
Yes,
decided.
everything is
Yeah,
needed.
you want to get to the spirit, to the heart, to
Yeah.
the mind of a person,
Yeah.
solve those holes. So you take the holes in their mind that are leaking, like a marriage, like maybe
Yes.
alcoholism, maybe
Yes.
mental health or anger, or whatever those issues are.
Yeah.
You fill those holes differently. You just label them different.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I
That's
said to
right.
my wife this morning, actually before I came on your call, I said to her, honey, most things which people call problems are nothing else than symptoms that have found a void in the person and fill them up. Marital problem is not the problem. We have to understand that. Imposter syndrome, we spoke a lot in the first session about it. It's not the problem. Because remember, it's a symptom. It's literally symptoms. And I got so fed up, Steve, of patching up those symptoms over and over and over. Because of course, if the problem is not solved, sooner or later, those patched up holes get blown up again. And that's why I said, I work with people who say, you know what, Marcus, this simply can't be it. There must be more. And I will leave the viewers and listeners with a little thing. Whenever you have this voice in you, where it comes, Pete, this can't be it. There must be more. Hold for a moment and literally whisper, what if there was? Please show me.
Great way to end the show. I speechless. I rarely am. So great job. When you can make me speechless, you've done it. Let's jump on a real quick question. I asked you this before, but we'll ask again. Maybe your mind's changed. So we're going to reserve a table in a restaurant, your favorite restaurant. I want you to order the food. So what food would you be ordering? But importantly as well, 3 people I want you to invite who've been completely influential in your life, whether dead or alive.
Gosh, I have goosebumps. So we go into a very simple pizzeria. And I would love to go to Tuscany, where you really have the real Italian food, right? So I'll order al gazzone with ham and everything in it. And the people I have there is, one of them is Viktor Frankl. He was an Austrian psychiatrist who had to go to the concentration camp. And the reason why he survived was because he realized it's not the strong ones who survive, it's the ones who have someone who they love. So he actually came up with the logotherapy, which means the methodology of sense, reason. It makes sense. The second one, I always wanted to meet this guy, is Barack Obama. And I want to take with me a woman, and it's actually interesting. I would never have thought I would say that. I would like to invite the representative Nancy Mace.
Interesting. It's very cool, very iconic table there. I like that. We learn a lot about Marcus with that. That's pretty cool. You know, I got to thank you again. Part 2 is better than part 1. You just get people, you care, the servant's heart, stillness and the servant's heart go together. That's why you were great on this show the first time. You're even better today. I know people listening want to know more about Stillness, the Stillness Council. How can they reach out to you and connect?
So at the current moment, on March 9, the easiest is through LinkedIn. Literally put in Marcus with a K and Neukom with 1 M, Markus Neukom, and just connect. And at the same time, I'm now at the verge of soon coming up with my website again, which is markusneukom.com. So it's always Markus Neukom. So either Markus Neukom on LinkedIn or markusneukom.com. And probably within a week or two, the website will be up and running again. But the easiest is simply connect through LinkedIn, send me a connection request, and refer to today's call.
It's beautiful. And you, stillness is simple, and you just made your connection simple. You're following the journey of stillness. I love it. Thanks again for being an incredible guest and audience. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Markus's show is a perfect example of you're listening to somebody, you can feel presence is another word. I like stillness better, but there's just something missing. Share this podcast with them. Yeah, just listen to this guy, Markus. Check him out for 10, 15 minutes. I think he might have an answer for you. That's an impact. And that's what we should be doing every day of our lives, trying to impact as many people as we can. And podcasts can do that. Doesn't have to be my podcast. Any others, same thing. As you're listening, share it out with others and just serve them and impact them. With that being said, me and Markus want to thank everybody for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.